What's up, folks? Coach Bryant here. Wanted to come at you with a little bit of Hydration 101. As you can see on this screen, it's hot. 115 degree feels like temperature here in Germantown, Tennessee today. It's supposed to be equally as hot tomorrow. It's football season. It's bike racing season. It's triathlon season. It's running season. There's a lot of outdoor activities happening right now that are taking place in what could be very dangerous conditions. So I wanted to just very quickly demystify a little bit about what you should be doing from a hydration standpoint. I keep seeing folks posting about drink more water, drink more water, drink more water. And yes, water is good, but we also need to make sure you're bringing electrolytes into the system. Now, one thing I like to kind of talk about when we talk about hydration here is I want you to think of yourself as a saltwater aquarium. I got this beautiful saltwater aquarium here. So inside the aquarium we have saltwater. These are saltwater fish. We got saltwater coral. I want you to think about your sweat as being salt water. One of the dominant electrolytes in your sweat is going to be sodium, salt. Okay? So when you're exercising, you're going to be losing varying amounts of salt water. So you are this aquarium. When you're out there training, racing, competing, playing in a game, whatever it may be, your goal over the course of that exercise session is to make sure the levels of this aquarium you see here, we don't want to get them to a point where the coral starts dying, the fish start dying because the tank is so low they can't swim around anymore, it's exposed to the air. That's a bad thing, right? Bad for performance, bad for your health. So you need to make sure you're replacing the water that's being lost, right? Now, I just mentioned it's salt water. So if we think about salt water going out of the aquarium, if you're a heavy sweater, it's going out a lot faster than someone who's sitting in an air-conditioned room like I am right now. So what you need to do is try to make sure what's going back into your system is going to be matching what the fish inside the system like. So in order to do that, you need to do a sweat sodium test. What we see a lot is folks that are not getting enough sodium back into the system. So as 1 liter of fluid goes out, if it's replaced with 2 liters of water, think about just dumping fresh water into a saltwater aquarium. It's going to dilute it. Initially, it's going to be okay. But as that dilution gets greater and greater, you start running into big time problems. And again, those fish are going to have major issues inside. Now, something that we offer here in Memphis, which is part of the reason for this, is it can be a massive game changer. That's the number one thing we hear from folks is how big of a game changer this test can be, because it's tough to know what you need if you don't know what the salt water in your aquarium should be, right? And there's huge ranges in that. We've tested some folks that are around 300 milligrams per liter. We've tested the person you can see here who's up at 2,000, you can see at the top center there, 2,047 milligrams of sodium per 32 ounces of sweat loss, so about a liter. So for every 2 pounds going out over the course of a training session, that person is losing around 2,000 milligrams of sodium. Now, to put that in perspective, Gatorade, Powerade, those drinks, more common stuff you can get at a gas station, those run about 425 milligrams per liter. So if we go back to that fish tank, yeah, maybe you're losing a 32-ounce bottle of fluids and you're putting a 32-ounce bottle of Gatorade back into your system. The problem there is, for this athlete, that is missing the mark by 1,600 milligrams. That is massive. This athlete suffered from major issues, cramping, would get done from training sessions and be totally depleted. Migraines, headaches, cramping, all sorts of issues. Something you're going to see, and pay attention to this. You know, I mentioned football season. The football season's here. You're going to see a lot of folks cramping up during these football games, especially at the beginning of the year when the temps are a lot hotter. Now, I guarantee you, a lot of these athletes, and in fact, we went and tested the University of Tennessee Volunteers. University of Memphis here in town has purchased the same machine we use to do testing for athletes. It's a medical grade test. Tons of pro teams. Coach Dale went and worked with the Cavaliers. It's a very popular test because it works and because it helps demystify hydration. So look at this equation. This is the last thing I'm going to leave you with here, is if we look at this equation, so your sweat sodium concentration, that's what we can tell you by conducting a test of your sweat. You don't have to exercise, we induce it. We can find out what the salt water in the aquarium is. Then, and this changes, your sweat rate is going to be different. I'm sitting in an air conditioning room, I'm not sweating. If I go outside, I'm going to sweat. If I go and I push really hard, I'm going to sweat a lot more. So your sweat rate changes based on that heat index, the clothing you're wearing, how hydrated you are. Are you in the shade? Are you in the sun? There's a lot of factors that go into that. Now the next part, and we got this multiplication table going here. The next part is how long are you out there? So the higher any one of these are, the more at risk you become. So if you're doing 2-a-days, if you are training in the morning, training in the evening, if you are training every day, if you have a higher training load, if you have a higher sweat sodium concentration, if you're out there for a longer duration, all of those things increase your losses of electrolytes, and primarily the number one here is going to be sodium. It increases all of that and puts you at a massive risk. So if you'd like to get your sweat sodium done, we can help you with that. If not, I would highly recommend you go higher. If you are a sweaty person, I would recommend you go higher than you're likely going right now on your electrolyte consumption in these temps. And this doesn't mean you have to do it all the time, but when you are losing sweat, we want you putting in more electrolytes. The average of the people we've tested has been just under 1,000 milligrams per liter, okay? So just under 1,000. That's 2 times more than what Gatorade and Powerade would be giving a person. So if you have questions on this, please holler at us. We want people safe. We're happy to answer questions. You can post them in the comments. Share this with people that you know. Just drinking water can put you in a big time problem if you're pumping out a whole lot of sodium, and we don't want that to happen. There's people that die every year. We don't want that to be an issue that happens when we know we can be of help. So please feel free to reach out. Please share this with your friends that may play sports, other parents that may have kids that play sports, especially those that are outdoors or those that are higher intensity in hotter conditions for longer durations. This is a very valuable test and something you only need to do one time, and we highly encourage everybody gets this done. So stay safe, stay performing at a high level, and if you can, take things indoors as much as you can right now. And that's all we got on this one. Thanks a bunch.